little soft-spoken. Oh, there's my head. So I'm gonna use the mic, so hopefully it's a little bit easier for everyone to hear me this round. It was a little quiet last time. So I want to thank you guys all for coming out tonight. All right, there's a plethora of other things you could be doing, but you chose to come here to God's house tonight, and it makes me glad you guys all came out to hear me. Unfortunately, it also means that, well, you guys have to hear me tonight. But I want to apologize in advance. When I started studying and the Lord laid this message on my heart, MEPS is it's a facility, it's a process that everyone going in the military has to go through. It's really used to see what kind of health everybody's in, and they make you sign your life away on tons and tons of paperwork. But after you get through all that, you've been walking around in nothing but your underwear for the past few hours on this cold, hard floor, and the carpet tunnel in your hand starts to wear off a little bit after signing these columns of paperwork. You have to take a vow. And one part of that vow is a statement that you will bear true faith and allegiance to the same. So I know you guys aren't in the U.S. military, although several of you have actually spent time in the military. But just like that old kids song says, we're all in the Lord's army. So I want to take a look at how we can apply that phrase, how we can bear true faith and allegiance to the same, and how we can actually apply that to our lives and our walk with Christ tonight. And that's what we're going to be going through. So if you would, please bow your heads as we pray over the Word. Father, thank you for giving us this wonderful opportunity to come into your house tonight, Father, so that we can hear your word. Lord, I pray that you would touch me as I deliver this message. Father, I pray that these be your words and only your words and nothing more. Lord, I pray that you would touch each and every one of us, that you would open our hearts and our minds to make us ready to receive your word, Father, and help us to apply that to our lives so we can be better for you, Father, so we can be that light in the world that you've commanded us to be. Thank you for these things, Lord. Amen. Amen. All right, so we're going to start out by looking at what is easily the definition of a guy that had a bad day. Or two. Job. So we meet Job as a very wealthy man. I mean, this guy is very well off. He's got acres and acres of land. He's got all these cattle, livestock. He's got ox. He's got servants. He's got this big family. He's got everything anyone could want. A lot of people might even consider that the American dream today. It's everything anyone could really want. And one day, he lost all of that. In one day, he lost all of his livestock. He lost nearly all of his servants, and he lost all of his children. All in one day. You know what his response to all that was? What Job's response to that was? He was like, I came into this world with nothing. Looks like I'm going to leave this world with nothing. The Lord giveth and the Lord taketh away. Could you do that? I mean, think about that. All that happened to you. Say you're sitting at your house, right? You lost your car. Your kids all died. All in one day. Lost your house. You have nothing. Would you be of the mind to sit there and go, well, I came in with nothing, I'm going to go out. Would you be able to do that? I don't know about you, but that would be a train wreck. Something like that happened, I'm like, man, I lost my car, lost everything, I have nothing now. It'd be very difficult to be in the mindset to just say, the Lord giveth and the Lord taketh away. And to have that kind of faith, to know that it doesn't matter. God's still going to take care of you. And that's where Job was. He lost all these things. And then to go one step past that, he got his entire body covered in boils. That's extremely uncomfortable. I mean, I can't imagine boils, right? So red hair, fair skin. I've had my fair share of sunburn over the years. I've been absolutely torched. We were in, what was that? Diego Garcia. And it's about 7 degrees south of the equator. It's a very nice place. Lots and lots of sun, lots of ocean. Beautiful ocean. Water looks like Kool-Aid out there. Well, me being the genius I am, decided to go out there without any sunscreen on for about 3 hours. I literally, my entire body, with the exception where my swimming trunk was covered, the entirety of my body was covered, head to toe, literally head to my toes, in blisters everywhere. It's absolutely miserable. It's terrible, terrible ordeal. And he was covered in boils, and boils are larger than those little blisters, I guess. That's, yeah. But you know what Job's response to that was? He said, in Job chapter 13, verse 15, it says, though he slay me, yet will I trust him. Would you have that kind of faith? Where you're sitting there and it feels like you're knocking on death's door. Like you were good to go. Your life was great, you were healthy, everything was going well, and all of a sudden, out of nowhere, boom, it's like everything, your whole world comes crashing down. You can't hardly move without hurting. You can't breathe without hurting. Can you have the faith during that time to say, still in God's hands, it'll all work out? That's some true faith. I'm a little short-winded, so it will be a little short tonight. Well, let's jump forward a few centuries, actually. We're going to take now to the book of Acts, chapter 6 and 7. Let's talk about Stephen. Stephen was a man who was full of faith, and he did many, many great miracles. And he helped so many people during his ministry. You know what he got for that? He was arrested. Arrested for talking about Jesus, for speaking, for preaching about him. He was thrown out of the city and stoned. These aren't like little kids where they take like a little pebble or a rock and they throw it at someone, it kind of hurts a little bit. No. These are stones. These are things people line their gardens with. Fist size, no, not my fist, maybe like Poppy's fist size. I got small hands. So like stones, like rocks, these gigantic stones, and that's what they used, like that. That's what they used to kill people. It's an extremely painful process as your bones are breaking, as these several pound stones are slamming into your body with the force of these people throwing them at you. But what did Stephen do? He stopped and he said to God, don't lay this sin on them. He asked that of God for those people that are standing there stoning him, those people that are killing him, taking his life for his beliefs and for helping all those people. Some of the people he helped could have been the ones stoning him, for all we know. And he says, God, don't put this on them. Don't lay this on them. Do you have that kind of faith? Do you have that kind of love? When you're being beaten by those around you, it might not be actual stones. Maybe it's words, things people say around you. Do you have that kind of faith where you can go, it's not on them, Lord. We'll put that on them. Forgive them. So let's jump back a few years. Just a few. We're going to jump back to the cross, where Jesus Christ is hanging there after literally taking the beating of a lifetime. He hangs there, bleeding and bruised, in extreme amounts of pain. I did a little research on what crucifixion actually is and what it does to the body, and it is nearly unimaginable. It's a very slow and painful way to die. Beforehand, a person would be beaten, strapped to a post, and beaten with whips. But these weren't your standard whips. They would be laced with shards of glass, if they had any. They would be laced with bone, sharp bone fragments. They would have stones and pebbles attached to them, so that when they hit, these weren't like little stones, these were weightier stones. And when they hit you, these stones would slam into your body and cause deep bruising. Not just shallow surface bruising, it would cause deep bruising that would get into your muscle tissue. Could approach your bones as well. These bone fragments and glass would hit your skin and tear into it. And then after it tears into your skin and they continue beating you, it goes even deeper and starts cutting your muscle tissue apart. Extremely, extremely painful. It was known to cause so much pain that people would fall into shock from it and not even be able to actually carry their cross to Golgotha. So while hanging there on the cross, it would become increasingly difficult to breathe as you were either nailed or tied to the cross. As your body started to slump down, your arms would get pulled out of their sockets, which would stretch your lung cavity apart, which would make it very difficult to breathe out. You wouldn't be able to compress your lungs to breathe out. So you would slowly start to asphyxiate. And then you would try to lift yourself up to breathe, but your feet were nailed to another part of the cross. So when you put all that weight on your feet, those nails started to tear through the tendons in your feet as you tried to breathe. And it was excruciating to try and do that. Sometimes they would even actually break your legs so you couldn't push yourself up. This is an extreme situation. This is very important that you understand what it meant for Jesus to go on that cross, what it meant, what crucifixion meant, what kind of pain that was that man went through. It's something that I can't even fully fathom, going through something like that and experiencing that kind of pain. And in the midst of all of that, two of the gospel writers recorded what Jesus said. It's recorded in Matthew chapter 27, verse 46, and it's recorded in Mark chapter 15, verse 34. Now, it's a little late in the sermon, but those are my focus verses for this. Mark chapter 15, verse 34. And that says, "And at the 9th hour, Jesus cried with a loud voice, saying, Eli, Eli, lama sabachthani," which is being interpreted, my God, why hast thou forsaken me?" It seems kind of strange after everything I've been talking about so far that is the focus verse. So when he's on that cross and he makes this statement, he doesn't just say, "God, why hast thou forsaken me?" God would know who he's talking to. Everyone around him would know who he's talking to. But no, he made sure he used those words. He said, "My God, why hast thou forsaken me?" And this time of pain, when he's in more pain on that cross than most people will feel for the entirety of their lifetime, his agony and his torture does not overcome his faith. It is not just a God he is calling to. He still maintains that personal relationship with God by saying, my God, my God. He doesn't let his agony overcome his faith. He felt the pain, the physical pain of that beating that he had taken. But that's not where it ended. He felt every bit of the emotional pain. He felt the pain of every sin to be committed from that day forward. And for those that haven't even been committed yet, he felt all of that pain from those sins then. All of that heartbreak he felt in that moment. He felt the pain of God turning his back on him, completely abandoning Jesus. Severing that tie, complete abandonment. That's an incredible pain that probably exceeded his emotional pain. Think about it. This is part of the Trinity. This was Jesus Christ. He was there when the world was made. He was there when God said, "Let there be light." He had always been there with God before time was even a concept. Jesus was. He was there with God. And to be severed like that, he felt that. But he still maintained his faith. Even though he felt all the shame and guilt from the sins of everyone that has ever existed or ever will exist from that point on. Every time I read these stories in the Gospels, it breaks my heart to just think about what he felt on the cross. That's a love that I can't understand. I just can't. There's no way for me to wrap my mind around it. And all that sorrow, all that suffering, he never let any of that agony overcome his faith. He didn't cry out to just some random deity. He didn't cry out to some big guy in the sky. He called to his God. In the midst of all that, can you do that? If you're facing something like that, is your faith strong enough to not be shaken? To not have that question, is God really there? Christ was abandoned by God and never questioned whether he was still there. It's easy to get caught up in our own problems, whether it's a problem with our car, whether it's an issue we're having at work, whether it's an issue with another person, or whether it's some amount of pain that we're in, some amount of stress, whether it's how are we going to pay our bills the next month, how are we going to put clothes on our family's back, until we feel so overburdened we don't know what to do, and we forget that there is no reason for us to have that amount of stress on us. We forget that God can take care of all of that. There is no reason for us to stress over the troubles of this world. He is still my God, no matter what I come up against. And I guarantee there is absolutely nothing that I or any of you could ever come against in this world that could come even remotely close to something that he can't handle. Right. Nothing. That's right. Amen. But he won't do it if I don't believe in him, or if I don't believe that he can. We are what limit God. If you don't believe in him, how can you expect him to believe in you? If I don't have faith to say, my God, or my Father who art in heaven, when the time gets tough, then how can I expect him to actually be there for me when I need him? He's not just some God. He is my God. He is the one and only true God of all creation. And I know beyond any shadow of a doubt that if there's anything I ever need, he'll provide it. And all I have to do is ask. It's that simple. Think about that. Imagine that in a work perspective. Say you're at work, some expense comes up for your car trouble. Suddenly you need $3,000. You go up to your boss and go, hey, give me $3,000. Come on. Come on. Come on. How well do you think it's going to work? Probably not too well. I mean, some of you might have a really great boss, but if you do, we can use a number and stuff. But that is, if you ask God for that, that need comes up. Ask God. And then stop worrying about it. There's nothing else you can do about it anyway. Right. I have this old saying I like to use it a lot. Worrying is like a rocking chair. It gives you something to do, but it doesn't get you anywhere. God will always provide if you ask. He will hear you and he will provide. I have lived it too many times to know. I've lived way too many times to have any doubt that God wouldn't provide my needs for me when I do need them. And I know that he will not forsake me. I've seen him come through way too many times for me on things that I didn't see a way out of. I didn't see a possibility of handling the situation. And God took care of it every time. Be strong and of a good courage. Fear not, nor be afraid of them, for the Lord thy God, he it is that doth go with thee. He will not fail thee, nor forsake thee. Deuteronomy 31:6. Let your conversation be without covetousness, and be content with such things as ye have. For he hath said, I will never leave thee, nor forsake thee. Hebrew 13, verse 5. Keep that in mind. Jesus didn't lose his faith, even after everything he went through. And he went through more than most of us will ever go through in a single lifetime. Don't let your agony Don't let your suffering, don't let your problems and your issues overcome your faith. Jesus overcame the world. What is your issue with someone like that? Jesus endured being forsaken on the cross so that we don't have to. You don't have to worry about being forsaken. You don't have to worry about God turning his back on you as long as you don't turn yours on him. So I challenge you to bear that true faith and allegiance to the same.